Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We talk about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And it's a Wednesday, and I'm here with our engineer, Mike Herzog. How's it going today, Mike?
Glad to be here, David. Are we announcing the unofficial poll on what the theme song should be that we're going to sing?
Oh yeah, I don't know. That's something we may have to do a little work on. Um, I hadn't really put a lot of thought into it. Yeah, because I come up with a couple of options. You heard Green Acres and you know
Really,
Mr. Rogers'
trying
Neighborhood.
to class the production up.
Yeah,
David's a triple threat. He can
yeah.
sing, he's going to dance, and talk about EVs and stocks.
Well, I got this fancy camera that tracks me when I move around, and so I can stand up and it'll follow my moves too.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. All right. So let's start out talking about our first article. It's about a solar airplane. So a solar airplane hit a new altitude record. This is, you don't want to fly too close to the sun, though, right? Isn't that what happened to Icarus and Daedalus?
Yeah.
So they're relying here, but it's pretty good looking plane. I think those are real people in the picture.
People.
The pilot's probably a scaled down human, I suspect.
It's like horse racing. I mean, put small people on there and reduce the weight.
Yeah. The Swiss pilot Raphael Damjan beat the altitude record for a solar-powered electric plane in a flight that took him soaring to 9,521 meters.
Oh, meters. Okay. Meters, I thought you were going to say feet. I was like, that's
not that high, is it? No. 30,298 feet. Okay. Yeah. The record had stood at 9,200 meters. So this is 9,500 meters.
Well, okay. It says, if I'm reading that, the previous record was from 2010.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So it's just one of those things that people have left alone for a while.
It must have taken a long time to get to that altitude because the flight lasted 5 hours and 9 minutes. So I assume this plane doesn't look like it probably just generates crazy horsepower from those solar panels.
Just creeping along.
Yeah. It's interesting. You see the solar panels all along the wings, right? And here on the
why wouldn't you have those on the body?
Yeah, you'd think there'd be more along the body, stuff like
tail, that. And you'd think you'd just cover that thing, right?
Well, I think there's even now types of Mercedes has been showing the solar paint. They're going to start solar painting their cars.
Well, I mean, even those, they're thin film, so that's not adding any extra weight or anything like that.
Well, I'm sure these guys are probably smarter than you or I.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you. They probably know what the hell they're doing.
But once we get this on YouTube, the haters will come on and explain to us why these guys aren't trying hard enough.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm just saying it's cool looking little aircraft. You can tell it's designed to be light. That's for sure. Yeah. But I mean, if that's what it takes.
Yeah, that's a good little article. I like it.
Yeah. Now that was 9,500 meters. He hopes to break 10,000 meters, which put it at the same altitude as airliners. And they then want to make a go at the first manned solar-powered flight into the stratosphere, which at Switzerland's latitude begins at 12,000 meters. So they're 2,500 meters short right now. But that's still, you think with the 2,500 meters, that's about a mile and a half up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going a long ways. I mean,
your pilot better pack a lunch for that one. He's gonna.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he doesn't get
5 hours. Yeah. Have to find somebody who doesn't need to go to the bathroom for a while, dehydrate them before they put them in the aircraft. Anyways, Yogi sent me a sample of what could be our new theme song. Anyways, yeah. Well, anyways, I thought solar powered airplane seems pretty cool. I don't know what kind of battery this thing has in it, if any. It must have a battery in it to take off, right? Or you'd assume.
But it has to store it, right? I mean, because you'd have to build up enough torque and horsepower and instantaneous power to get that moment of inertia and take off.
You'd think, right?
I would think you'd have to. Well, honestly, if I was flying that thing, I'd want some type of backup power on it too. So just in case the the forecast is wrong and it gets cloudy all over once.
Maybe the pilot is pedaling for the first little bit too.
The first one, you got to get a whole bunch of people
Get the
behind
propeller
it,
going a little faster,
pedaling and push and
you see a whole team of people out there pushing it down the runway to get going.
No, I like articles like this because when I teach courses on EVs and things, I always like to show new technology and e-aviation and things, just little breakthroughs. People are doing stuff. People are operating in the space. It's a little slower than e cars, but it's still cool.
We showed a couple of like trainer aircraft for pilot schools that are all electric now, and I've seen people complaining. It's like, well, then you're not teaching people to do the checklist properly and all that. Well, if we have more electric aviation, maybe the checklist changes, right?
Maybe the checklist changes.
Yeah.
Well, but hear Bill talk about it. It's really one of those. Ooh, I like that. That's funny, Owen. Really, it's like an aircraft carrier. I mean, just slingshot that thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get the rubber band behind it and just zoom.
No, I was going to say like Bill's explanation, just the cost of entry for pilots and just aviation, just to get your hours in, makes a ton of sense. No, yeah, I want them to know how a mechanical plane still handles and stalls and does all of those. But God, if you just need time in the air and up and down and read your gauges, God, why wouldn't you want EV to do that?
Well, if you're pursuing a career as a pilot, you have to get to a point where you're instrument rated so you can teach.
Yep.
Okay. And so then at that point, it's just accumulating hours. You want to get 1,000 hours so you can go out and you get some type of commercial job, which might be delivering the mail. It might be running some small cargo route. Or you might get lucky and get picked up by a commuter airline that's flying a very, aircraft with 10 to 20 passengers.
I had a friend who did that, and it was a good job.
Yeah. So I've had flight schools contact me to see if I could help them with creating a student loan program. The problem is, as a pilot, so right now, when I was in college, it cost about $12,000 to get those licenses to the point where you could then flight instructor. But now it's $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and at $50,000, that's a pretty significant chunk for somebody just come up with. Now, a lot of colleges cost that in tuition for 1 year
for a semester. Yeah,
but $50,000 to get your pilot's license really isn't a crazy bad deal. The problem is the payout is different. So, like if you're a doctor, I've known doctors who graduated with over $500,000 in student loans, but they went into a profession like oncology or something. They were getting paid a couple $100,000 right off the bat.
Yep.
Okay. And it's only going up. Well, the pilots, the income goes up. It's just, it starts just above minimum wage right off the bat. So if you have $50,000 in debt, it's really, it doesn't pay as well. Pilots don't get paid as well right off the bat as other professionals. Now that should be changing because there's a huge shortage of commercial pilots right now. And I think you have two issues go with that, because I had somebody I coached who he is in medical school, but he got his pilot's license in high school. He was considering where he wanted to be, and he flight instructs on the weekends. Okay, but he's in medical school, and his concern was that autonomous vehicles were going to take over flying aircraft. Okay, that it'd all be remote. Well, actually, I see the same thing happening in medicine.
Yeah,
so I mean, it's
telehealth, AI. I mean, AI doing diagnoses. I mean, really, it's changing a lot.
I don't see AI really replacing pilots or doctors. Okay, I see it being a big assistance to make them make fewer mistakes
100%.
And make things safer for both, safer for the patients.
Yes,
all that. It is designed to enhance the human
experience. You will. I would 100% say pilots. We will always have somebody in a plane that can flip a switch and go to manual control if they have to.
Yeah.
Same with medicine. Like I want somebody, not a machine, taking a look at my file, before any big decisions are made.
Right. But one of the biggest sources of, death in the United States is medical malpractice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, it's a staggering amount compared to other things that cause people to die. And, if AI can help, I mean, AI should be easily able to help cut that. A lot of it, though, they'll call it that. And a lot of it's like this MRSA stuff, where people become resistant to various types
infections.
The infections, and they just can't, they can't treat it. Okay. And some of that is because they were over treated previously, and now antibiotics don't take any effect on them, so there's a lot of things that go on in that space.
I mean, like we're going on a tangent in medicine, but I mean, that's the basic medical practice. Tell me what's wrong with you. Here's your list of symptoms. Here's, based on I shouldn't make the crazy sign, but based on my internal AI and all my medical training, or, whatever that might be, here's what I think it is. So having a secondary check, or, somebody looking at all of these factors and being able to plug in, here's your blood pressure history from the past 5 years. We think it might actually be this. Like, what a great tool.
Well, I think as a person, you should be able to use tools like AI to help with wellness.
Yeah.
So wellness versus going and, fixing what's wrong, try to be healthier before, those things come up. Anyways. All right. Well, that's it on the solar airplane. Let's move on to the next abomination in the EV space. Okay. So I was never really happy about what Ford did with, the Mustang Mach-E.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Mach-E. They just need to stop calling it the Mustang. Okay.
Call it the Mach-E.
I'm cool.
Oop, lost you there for a sec. Maybe it's on my end. Is that me? Oh, Yogi, are you there? Did we lose him? Ooh, there we go. David froze. Okay, I think he's going to come back. We'll see what his next article is. I got a comment from Yogi. I think it is on his end. We'll follow up on this real quick. Unfortunately, on my side, I don't have the controls that David does. Maybe I better try to come back. We'll give it a couple minutes. I hear you, Owen. I hear you. Okay. Let me see. There we go.
That was interesting. He called me Bill. That's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's Bill on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yeah, my system crapped out on me. Let's see if I can get my tabs back. Just a minute here. Well, that was unusual, but
did you get like a blue screen? Or just one of those decided?
No, just everything decided to freeze up. There we go. All right, let's see if it crashes everything again. Sometimes it just does. Yeah, I was trying to share my screen and then everything just froze.
Decided it was done.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. I have a lot of browser windows open, and for different things I'm working on, and sometimes it's just tough because I've got data all over and all these different things I'm doing with AI mostly. A lot of really AI related projects. Anyways, but it's I can pull the stuff back up. It's just that sometimes I can't get the output if it's graphical in nature. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
necessarily get it back. All right. So here's the new abomination in the EV space. This is the prospectively 1,000 horsepower electric
Ooh,
Chevy Camaro as a SUV
that looks like
EV.
a
Now,
crossover, right?
yeah. I mean, I get it. I get it. But why call it the Camaro? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know what a Camaro is. You could make an electric Camaro, but make it look like a Camaro.
Make it look like a
It,
Camaro. Yeah.
yeah. Now, to be fair, this does have typical Camaro looks. Okay.
It looks nice. You know what? As a standalone vehicle, it looks great. I like the look of it, but I'm with you. Like, just don't call it that. It's
Yeah,
something
give it a
new.
different name. Give it
Yeah.
a different name. You know, Pontiac's gone, right? Could we use some? And I was telling Bill yesterday, maybe we use some, Pontiac names like Firebird or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Very retired brands.
if Ford pulls off their plan, it'll be the end of ICE. GM is already producing good EVs at scale. Both will change the market. Yeah, Bobby, that's for sure. You know what? It is a better looking car than a Model Y for sure. Okay, no question, it's
Yeah,
better looking.
I like the look at it, but it's almost got that that Porsche, kind of that longer front end and curvier on the back. Or an Acura. Maybe it looks kind of like a souped up Acura. But I like the look of it. I'm sure it's going to perform great, but maybe it's just nostalgia and brand recognition.
See, that looks good. See, it has a very Camaro feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to say that I think both of these are AI. Okay, this is definitely AI here. Okay, but it's a great looking vehicle. Okay, great looking vehicle. I mean, honestly, that looks good like a Lamborghini Urus. Okay,
that's a sharp vehicle right there.
Yeah, no question. It looks great, but do you call it a Camaro? That's my issue. Come up with something, equally awesome as a name. Chevy's had a lot of cars over the years that they don't make anymore, but the Camaro was only retired a couple of years ago, right? I mean, at least I think so. I still see them driving around.
I still see cars that look a lot like that, and I think they're just a couple of years old.
But that is whether that is gas or electric or whatever, that is an awesome looking car.
Okay. I mean, good for them. I mean, I like it, but I agree. I don't. That car I could see maybe calling a Camaro if it looked like that. It's just the hatchback Mustang Mach-E, where it's like that is that's the one I can't get behind. It's a different car. It's a different car.
The Ford Mach-E is a great looking vehicle.
Yeah,
I think it's a great design. But to me, over in Europe, they sell an electric Explorer. They don't make an electric Explorer in the United States. Man, I hated AMC vehicles. I never thought they made anything that looked good that I can recall. But yeah, that is funny. I'm just saying it's a different look. Like I was saying, call it what it is. It's if it was a 2-door, I could see calling it a Camaro, but as a 4-door, it's just something different.
It's just different. It's great, but it's different.
Yeah. So we're going to topic of Chevy and GM. GM bets on cattle LFP batteries for the new Bolt EV. Now, even with tariffs, they're going to stick.
That's what I was about to say. Cattle. I mean, they're a leading manufacturer, but I would worry about the price tag on those.
Yeah. You consider what a big part of the EV, the battery is. I'm sure tariffs are going to hit hard on the battery, but batteries are crashing in price. So maybe they feel that's okay.
Maybe it's going to make up for it. And cattle's a good brand.
The new Bolt is going to start out at 30,000. So it's still going to be a little bit cheaper than the Equinox, which is down in the low 30s. And, it's nice. We're starting to see some US EV, manufacturers
prices. It's not
hit the price
I've
points.
seen a lot of 30s because the Ford truck announcement was 30, right? That's what the target is. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. We're going to cover that a little bit more in a minute too. But yeah. So the decision to use Cattle's LFP is primarily driven by cost considerations. The LFP chemistry offers a more affordable alternative to traditional lithium ion that rely on more expensive materials like nickel and cobalt. Well, I wouldn't understand why everybody wouldn't be using LFP. Tesla uses LFP. The LFP has a much lower chance of being able to catch on fire too. Not that we see that very often anymore. But I'm just saying,
it's one of those incremental improvements that's going on. I mean,
it's like we say, it doesn't happen often, but it's not zero.
Yeah.
And even one makes the news, right? And so it's interesting to see that. The move raises questions about battery safety, particularly given past incidents with the first generation Bolt EV. Well, that was all pre-2020.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. GM, in collaboration with LG, has detailed its comprehensive strategy to address these concerns. The LFP are inherently more thermally stable than lithium ion, making them less susceptible to thermal runaway. Cattle has a new safety standard. China has new stringent battery safety standards. The standard mandates that batteries must not catch fire or explode even during or after an internal thermal runaway event. Rigorous testing protocols like thermal propagation and crash tests. BYD had this model called the Han that had all kinds of fire problems over in China. Yeah, it was really specific. Most of your pictures of EVs on fire are that specific make and model. It's the BYD Han, HAN. And not saying that other cars haven't caught on fire, but it seemed to be significant. Like, worldwide, that was number one.
Like
we didn't have it here.
This car has a problem. There's an issue with this one.
Yeah. It's just like though with the Chevy Bolt. We know the Chevy Bolt had problems. I mean, if you get one that was made before 2020 and you check it, I mean, you could probably get the battery replaced if
check your recalls, check your warranties, check.
They were all recalled. They were all recalled. It should have been replaced at some point. Yeah. GM acknowledges relying on a foreign supplier is a temporary measure. The automaker, in collaboration with LG, is converting its Spring Hill, Tennessee plant to produce LFP batteries domestically, with commercial production expected by late 27. It's amazing how all this manufacturing is starting to happen in the United States now. The new Chevy Bolt EV set to begin production next year at GM's Fairfax assembly plant in Kansas. Will feature a Tesla-style charging port at NACS and promises over 300 miles of driving range. You should hear Bill. So Bill's car, his Bolt, is only supposed to get 240 miles of range. And when he got it, initially, it only went to like 150.
Oh my.
Okay. It now goes to just over 300. Bill is getting more than 5 miles per kilowatt hour in his Bolt.
That's insane.
Yeah. But it has to do with Bill's particular driving style.
Right? It's how you drive.
Yeah. So he's not getting out on the freeway. So he's not driving 80 in Nebraska on our very high speed limits. He tends to be driving where he's using regenerative braking, and
not punching it, not accelerating hard,
Bill's not racing now. He says he does occasionally. He'll want to be the first one at the light or whatever, but he's not just running it super hard. All right, let's talk about Ford a little bit. So Ford says it's going to invest, and I've seen a couple different numbers thrown around. Ford is investing $2 billion to transform Louisville, the Louisville assembly plant, into a factory capable of making new-gen affordable EVs with a mid-sized truck with a base price of $30,000 that is slated to launch in 27. Now, considering that the Maverick, so you can get a base Maverick. I don't think that's a hybrid one, but the cheapest Mavericks are 28 grand. Okay. So you don't see anybody really pushing this. I don't think Ford is really pushing the Maverick because they're not really making a lot of money on it. You know, it's probably a low margin vehicle for them. Anyways, it's not a standard factory upgrade. To reduce the cost of manufacture, they've upended the assembly line system that they started 112 years ago with Henry Ford. So they're trying to make vehicles more in line with how Tesla and the Chinese make cars. And I've seen some things where they figure they can actually cut labor costs by like 40%. They can cut materials costs by 15%. There was a whole bunch of things I saw as I've been looking where they say they're going to be able to chop on the price of these vehicles and make it so they can compete. And
I think that right there is a milestone. And not that people hadn't learned from Tesla and the new manufacturing processes, but big three traditional car manufacturers are actually starting to implement techniques that were developed for EVs to be more cost competitive. Like I think that's a positive all around for the industry. You know, whether you're ICE all the way or EV, whatever you look at, things are getting more efficient, things are getting cheaper than consumers. Like the lowering of cost of EVs is forcing internal combustion engine vehicles to get cheaper too and more efficient during construction, which is what a statement to make in 2025. If you would have looked at this in 2020 and all the, well, EVs are dead and they need all of this help, like, no, people are having to change the way they do business and build to stay competitive with them. That's a big deal.
Well, you know, I approach everything as an economist. Okay. Mm-hmm. And ever since I've been doing this show and I keep seeing these things like, oh, wait, battery prices keep going down. I mean, if that's the most expensive part of the car, because at one point the batteries alone cost more than gas cars.
And it was, and they had to get competitive to make the rest of the car cheaper.
Yeah. And as they're starting to get to the point where, you know, they're still not $5, but when they're starting what was like $50,000 and now approaching $5,000, and you know, there's not a whole lot to replace. And then there's fewer parts and all these different things and lower maintenance and longer lasting vehicles. It's like the economics for gas powered vehicles just aren't there anymore. I mean, they're still there today in 2025, but you can clearly see the trajectory of where things are heading. And by 2030, it's not going to be economically viable to be buying new gas cars. You can still buy one. They're still going to be around, 100%. But it won't make a lot of sense. It's certainly not going to make the sense that people think it does.
Like you said, it's been really interesting to watch this just over the past couple of years, where it's been the subsidies and rebates did what they were supposed to do. Like we just need to put it in motion and get the thing rolling, and then it's going to take care of itself. And that's what happened. You got enough people to buy, enough consumer confidence in the area, and the economics of it it makes more sense in the long term. It really makes more sense.
So one of the big criticisms about EVs when Trump was running for president was basically talk about NEVI, you know, and how that $5 billion had been allocated, but you know, only 8 charging stations had been built, but the money hadn't been spent. It wasn't like the money went anywhere. The Treasury still had all the money. But anyways, we were talking yesterday that got overthrown in court as far as getting rid of NEVI. And so Sean Duffy, who's the current Secretary of Transportation, he's implemented a whole bunch of new rules for NEVI that, because, you know, that was messed up. We've talked about this before about how the whole red tape process with NEVI is why nobody got any installed. And so he's cutting through that. Now, they may not get as many in the poor areas. That was part of the idea was get them,
you know, put them where nobody is going to put them, kind of thing.
Right. But it'll certainly get them all along the freeways.
Yep.
Okay. So that part is at least going to be but like I said, he really slashed the red tape. NEVI's actually better now than it was pre-Trump.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had not heard that's the direction it had gone, but working specifically in our state and kind of in that industry, like it's a pain in the butt. I mean, to work with any of these big grant programs. I mean, to what you're saying, they absolutely shot themselves in the foot and just made it
So difficult.
so difficult. Little bit of a tangent, but the solar for all programs and community-based solar and everything like that, and it's same argument of like, well, we've had it for years and nobody's spending any money on it. It's like, gosh, the red tape is just so, fill out this form, fill out this form ties back to this form, and all of those things. And we just want to put in some solar panels, we just want to put in some chargers.
Yeah.
Give us a couple $1,000 to put in a charger and we'll go do it.
Well, we had that guy on here from Denver who was talking about how it took 2 years to get, transformers so he could power up his charging stations.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that really hurt his ROI on his investment.
Yeah. And to Owen's comment, like that's what NEVI was supposed to be. It's I-80 cuts through where we're at, but that connects Boston to San Francisco. We want a charging station every 50 miles. I mean, that's what NEVI was supposed to do. Pick the major interstates and highways and put a charger every 50 miles.
I'm not real big on the idea of social equity or, whatever, but that was a part of it too, was the idea is how do we get charging stations into poor neighborhoods where nobody owns an EV yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one of the problems is we assume that as homeowners that have a garage and a driveway and all these places, we could potentially charge our car at home. When you get into the poorer areas, they tend not to own their place. They might live more likely in an apartment,
no garage,
or whatever.
Maybe not even dedicated street parking.
Right. And so there needs to be more, not just opportunities to charge, but I think there needs to be, I think the power company is eventually going to have to handle a lot of that. I think we have OPPD here in Omaha is what it's called. Okay. Mm-hmm. And OPPD is in the poorer areas of Omaha is either going to have to adopt wireless charging, where people can just park on the street over the wireless charging in the road, or they're going to have it on the street lights, whatever. But people are going to have to be able to charge at normal home electric rates.
Basically opening up the convenience of an EV to them, where it's the convenience factor is it charges overnight and I don't have to think about it. Whereas like if I have to really go out of my way, then it that piece of it shoots itself.
Bridget, if you're listening, this is what we're tasking you with getting done at OPPD. Okay. But I'm just saying that's going to have to happen. And that was part of the idea with NEVI. But in the other sense, it's like, well, is anybody really asking for this? And whereas the freeway problem, like I said before, it's like I was looking at buying a used Nissan Leaf, and I'm like, there's one CHAdeMO charger in St. Joseph, and it's like, the Leaf doesn't have a lot of range. You might get it back, you might not.
Yeah.
So I think, Owen, I've talked to people who are building apartments, and I've said that they don't really even need level 2 charging in the apartments. But everybody should have it level 1. There should be a place they could plug that in. And I think that should, realistically, somebody who lives there might use $20 a month in electricity if they were charging it religiously at most. And, I don't think that's a bad perk.
I'm surprised we don't see that more. And not that I'm actively shopping for apartments or looking at it, but just offering, we have this available. We have secure, safe parking. This is available. You can park here and charge. It's just a perk. It's a perk of this new development.
One of my friends builds all around Omaha and Lincoln, quote, affordable, lower income apartments. Mm-hmm. And they put level 2 chargers in all of them. I'm like, dude, put level 1s in. I mean, give everybody access to level 1. I mean, why even level 2? They could go to a charging station, or if they're lucky, they might have a place where they can charge at work.
Yeah.
I mean, more and more places have level 1 or level 2 charging at work. And
Yep. I mean, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of this where at this point, let the market steer itself a little bit. And when that market opens up, then people are going to solve some of those problems on where to put it. But the NEVI was just kind of the last government kick in the butt of, hey, we want to put these along interstates and highways.
It was just really poor, pathetic
it was
piece of legislation.
Yeah,
I'm not disagreeing with what it was supposed to do. I'm disagreeing with how it was written.
And it's executed and put out there in one of those. It's just very keep it straightforward and keep the requirements simple. It
feels like it was written in a way to keep more people employed in the government, and that doesn't make me happy.
Where people take their cut at different levels. I mean, yeah. I don't with NEVI. I don't know who had gotten their cut yet. Not granted, this is different. Not to be cynical, or anything like that. But like, yeah, we do this and we sponsor it. So I don't think those dollars had even been dispersed yet. But
I'm just saying it required more people to work at the Department of Transportation to administer that.
Yeah.
But back to the Ford facility, the end result is an EV that has 20% fewer parts, 50% fewer cooling hoses and connections, 25% fewer fasteners. I remember them also saying that we're shaving off like 3/4 of a mile of wiring in the vehicles. And then in addition to that, they have a $3 billion investment in the Blue Oval Battery Park factory in Michigan, which will come online next year and employ 1,700 hourly workers. And that's in part, they're using technology licensed from cattle, but they're actually making them here, but they're using licensed tech. Yeah. And, for those of you criticizing things or want to criticize, we know that cattle's real deep in the CCP. It's not exactly another, we talk about this all the time. The Chinese companies are big in this space and they're innovators, but man, are they integrated into the Chinese government.
And that's why, was it GM's decision to release from cattle seems real in this current climate, seems real interesting. But
yeah, well, I've got somebody going to come on from HEVO, HEVO, and I talked to the CEO yesterday, and he was explaining to me why wireless charging will replace everything at some point in the next 10 years. And he, because he's saying this is the norm with autonomous vehicles. So all the autonomous vehicles are being equipped to pull into a parking space and they'll wirelessly charge from the ground. And so then you don't have to have somebody go out there and grab the cable and plug it in. So that it completely removes the human from the situation. And he'll be interesting. We haven't quite set the date yet for when he's going to come on, but I'll get him. He'll be on a Wednesday.
It's come on. I agree. I think that's where it's going on. Like buses and big industrial vehicles. They've almost, I shouldn't say they've all gone to, but they're starting to go to like pantograph chargers, where it's just like a streetcar. It just comes down, touches on the top, and charges. So it's all you're not plugging stuff in. You're not doing those. And this isn't. We're not talking like an electrified or inductively charged street. I think they did a pilot program of that in Detroit a few years. But it's just it's an EV.
Florida's got a highway they're trying. Florida has a stretch of highway they're trying this on. Yeah,
cool, but this is just park into the parking spot and your vehicle charges, and you never have to think about it again.
Well, Bobby's talking about doing it in Walmart to help apartment dwellers. Well, the wireless thing would work well, right? And I think what's going to happen, though, is whoever the wireless provider is, it's going to have to be a lot like how Tesla is. With a Tesla, you just go, you plug it in, and like, this is David's Tesla. It's charging.
Yep.
Yeah, and you pull. It'll be set up in a way that you'll pull in. The wireless charger will recognize your car. It'll see it needs to be charged, and it'll start. It'll start the fueling process while you're sitting there, and that'll make things a lot smoother. Of course, Walmart could just have level 1 or level 2 charging out there too. And I don't. But everybody doesn't need level 3.
Vandalism and people. They're still a target. If that makes it's pretty big. 8 feet of copper cable sitting out there, and So those kind of things make them a lot less susceptible to vandalism.
Well, that's one thing I liked about the guy's wireless charging, because a lot of it's underneath the asphalt.
It's all under the yep.
Yeah, and so that's a lot harder to steal.
you really got to be
Somebody's
dedicated.
Somebody's gonna try. But
you just show up in a hard hat and a vest, and you look official. Like, what are you doing? I'm digging a hole. Can't you?
Wouldn't you rather work inside in the air conditioning? We can give you a job working in the Walmart.
Go into that much trouble.
Yeah, if you're really willing to work that hard, you make a few bucks. Yeah, maybe you should come in and do this. All right. So Bill found an article for me on Kandi. So Kandi is on the NASDAQ as KNDI, but it's KANDI Technologies. They're a budget EV manufacturer out of China. They have a subsidiary called the China Battery Exchange that's supplying infrastructures for CATL's national battery swap rollout. Kandi is suddenly in the spotlight. Investors are starting to notice. Now, they're providing core components for CATL's 10,000 battery swapping stations across China plan.
Okay.
Yeah. Owen, I couldn't tell you how many air condensers I've had stolen over the years. I've probably had 20 of them stolen, and they probably didn't get $20 for the copper out of them. And it cost me at least $1,000 to replace each one of them. Yes, that's never been.
I worked for a utility for a long time, and sometimes you just see a pair of boots.
I feel I should be able to cut off their hands.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those.
Yeah, you just wonder. But anyways, 10,000 of these battery swapping stations. Now, I've mentioned this before. I'm not that big on battery swapping for passenger cars, but I am for bigger vehicles. Because it's hard to bring megawatt chargers to power, delivery trucks and 18-wheelers and buses and things like that. Those ones, it makes a lot more sense to have consistent, be able to figure out how much energy you're really going to use daily, and then
exactly. It's a plan. Yep, it just becomes an industrial process.
Yeah. Well, the battery swap tech works real well with V2G.
Yep.
Okay. And so then you've got the batteries there kicking out energy when it's needed, or you've got so much load balancing, right? Yeah. But
100%, they're not idle. They don't just have to sit there. You can use them while you're waiting to swap.
Let me see. A one-time swap, it runs $12.50 to $15 equivalent in the US. As a monthly subscription to use 75 kilowatt hours anytime you need it is about 101. If you got a 100 kilowatt hour battery, it's $230 a month. 230
subscription, change it out as often as you want.
Yeah, but you could just swap it out for $15. So versus $230. So I guess if you're swapping more than 8 times a month,
Boy, I'm trying to think of the logistics on that. Of at what point do you need to sleep? If you're really draining it that many times, and how many times you have to swap it out, and I mean, because that's swapping it out to get value out of that once every 2 days, once every 3 days.
Yeah, that'd be driving a lot.
That'd be
driving a lot. But it doesn't really sound that bad though. For it's gonna be kind of one of these situations like when you get the rental car and it's like, hey, do you want to return it empty? And we'll just go ahead and pre-charge you for the gasoline. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. You're swapping it out. It may still have 60% charge, but you want a full battery for where you're going.
Battery.
Yeah, and on the flip side, other times you might return it empty. So, they're going to have some sweet spot in there. It's probably going to be like 30-40% of the battery still charged.
Yeah, where it's like, this makes sense for me to actually do that.
Yeah. I'm just saying that the cattle deals.
Like the physical act of swapping, it's real quick, isn't it? Like 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, just pull in and pull it out, pull it.
Yeah, you pull into something that looks like a car wash. I mean,
Yeah.
think about how you go through an automatic car wash. How long does it take? It's
Yeah.
not going to be any longer than that. You know, I think that's pretty reasonable. It says swap times under 90 seconds with automated billing. Kandi's system is optimized for fleets, logistics fleets, taxis, and heavy trucks. Its first heavy truck station is expected within 3 months. Like I said, that's where I really see
That's buses,
that going.
trucks. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I just think that's definitely the future. Anyways, I think we're good for today.
Cool.
So, anyways, we covered lots of stuff, folks. I want to thank everybody for chiming in. I had some technical issues, but we got through that pretty fast. Anyways, Mike will be back with me next week. I'll be back with Bill tomorrow at 1 o'clock Central. We're going to start doing Thursdays at 1. Thank you, Owen. Appreciate y'all watching. We always appreciate the commentary in the chat. Anyways, everybody have a great day.